I'm here with Henry Hill, and he's going to talk to us about being an extra and being a stuntman. What got you interested in films and being able to do something in films or TV?
I think it was just something. It was a cool way to make some money out of once I'd finished school, where I wasn't. I was doing something that just felt a little bit more interesting than stacking shelves or whatever. That was the main thing. And then once I started it, I think I did a couple of little jobs, and then I think just being on set and seeing how everything works was just intrigued me, and I just wanted to carry on and potentially take it into stunts or acting or whatever.
But from what I've heard with extras, isn't it that they often get their mobile phones confiscated and they...
It depends on the production. The most recent one that I did, I got my phone confiscated for the whole day, and it was like a 13-hour shoot, so I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do on my phone. Star Wars, that was another one where we got our phones taken off us. But apart from that, it's been okay. Sometimes you can get lucky and you get a job where you're barely used at all. You're just in the holding area. And I remember, for Amy Winehouse, we weren't used for about 8 hours of the day, and then everyone was just on their phones, having snacks. People had their laptops as well, and they were doing their whatever, like laptops.
Then another question I wanted to ask you was about locations, because I was thinking, so because I live in Hertford, I think the reason some of my friends happen to be involved as extras is because they can easily make their way to various places where filmmaking gets done. And do you think that Hertfordshire or around Hertfordshire is a place has a lot of filmmaking going on? Because I think there's a place, don't know where it is, but it's called something like Leavesden.
Yeah. I think, that as long as you can find your way, because the only trouble is early call times. So sometimes, like even here, which is London, if it's a really early call time, sometimes the trains aren't running from the local station, so you have to get a night bus. Is there night buses in Hertford?
No.
Yeah. So then if you drive, that helps, or you can get an Uber. Sometimes they'll offer a pickup service from, like if you can manage to get your way to Euston, then they'll give you a minibus to wherever the location is.
That's very good.
Yeah, it's actually really handy.
It's good for them and good for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Which famous production do you think you've had the biggest sort of screen time in as an extra?
It could be either Ready Player One or Back to Black was the most recent one.
Back to Black, that's the Amy Winehouse film.
Yeah, I was one of Blake's mates. That was that was a fun one. And we were really lucky with that because the mates, they literally just selected us at random. We were just extras, and they said, all right, 1, 2, 3, you're going to be his mates. And it was a really cold day in Camden, and for the whole day, everyone was just kind of walking up and walking down outside in the rain, and everyone was like cold, but we were all in the pub with Blake, so we were just in the pub the whole day.
Not
while
bad
everyone
at
else
all.
was outside, and it was just so lucky. But yeah, I think screen time wise, I think it was either that or Ready Player One.
So with Ready Player One, I've watched the film and I really like the film. I've watched it twice, I think, and maybe a third time because I was looking out for you. And towards the end of the film, there's a lot of people in the streets, and there's a great big van that's focal to the story, and all the people are very interested in who's in the van and what's going on in the van. And around that bit, really near the end, you're one of the people in the crowd, and you get loads of screen time like in the crowd. And I was wondering, is there a story to that, how you ended up?
No, not really. They just said there was originally going to be another scene where I was going to be more heavily featured that got cut, where the bad guy comes out of the van and walks through the people, and I was like right at the front of the shot, but they cut that bit out unfortunately. But because I was already there in that bit, they just wanted everyone that was around that area to kind of, okay, just go and have a look at what's going on here. But it wasn't. They didn't. I think a lot of the time it's just pretty random. Like, okay, you guys just go there, and if you happen to be one of those people, then you happen to be one of those people.
In my head, I imagine that the Ready Player One, if someone read it as a book, I haven't read the book, but I imagine it's quite cyberpunk, the way people dress in that future.
I think that's what they were going for.
And I think with what you were, with your look at the time, because you had a shaven head, didn't you? And I thought that fits in, young man, shaven head.
But they actually gave me like a jacket with like all the spikes on it. Some boots, the jeans. There was a few other people that had that sort of like punk look as well.
Yeah, makes me think of Vivian from The Young Ones. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I
haven't seen it.
No, it's before your time, but
I'll have to watch it.
So tell me a bit about Star Wars, because I remember years ago, I think I learned that you were an extra in some sort of man-made cave.
Yeah, so it was for Han Solo. I was on it for about 2 weeks, and none of it ended up being used because they just completely scrapped everything and started all over again. But the set was really cool. It was this giant prop of, I think the character was Madame Proxima, this great big worm lady, and Han Solo, and I can't even remember the other character, were there kind of like asking for some kind of deal, and we were all like the kind of minions in the caves, just kind of like with these sticks, like chanting at one bit. That's not
the. I know you're saying it wasn't used in the film, but is this a bit where Han Solo figures out that he could throw a stone at a window? And
yes, it is that bit. So I say it wasn't used. Like the bit that I was in wasn't ever used, but that same scene was in the film, but it was just completely reshot. So I wasn't even in it. So I wasn't actually in the actual film, but I was doing the shoot that was originally being done. But yeah, that scene was in it. Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun job actually, and that was definitely the coolest set. It was all everything was just completely dark and just had very minimal lighting.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of wrapping up this video, but we were talking earlier about AI, because I was talking about how I'm trying to use it to solve some of my filmmaking problems where I've bitten off more than I can chew, and although I'm good with green screen, well, relatively good with green screen and a few other tricks, I was thinking that AI would be the answer to my problems, video generating giant monster rabbits in Hartford, that sort of thing. So we were talking about AI, and you were talking about the future of cinema. So tell me what we were talking about back then.
So I mean, I don't see why not, but at the moment people are using it, like how you're using it, to kind of enhance the production. But I wonder if people will just completely... I was talking to my friend about this recently as well, like if it would completely take over. Like, because production wouldn't have to pay for any actors, they wouldn't have to pay for any stuntmen, visual effects artists, they could just do a prompt. And at the rate of development that it's in right now, it's in 10 years' time, it could be so good that people could just make a prompt for every scene. And yeah, could that be the way that films are made from now on? Yeah, I wonder. Would people... I think maybe people will start going more into plays, like live performances. Because I think once you know that something's AI, it definitely loses its... like if a whole... like there's a video on YouTube, for example, and then you find out that the whole thing's just AI, it loses its authenticity a bit, and I think some people will just want to see real actors, real stunts, where there's actual real people involved, so maybe it will gear more towards theatre in future. What do you think?
Well, a few years ago I rewatched an Arnold Schwarzenegger film called Raw Deal. No one gives Arnie a raw deal. That was the the slogan for the film.
I've never seen that one.
Well, it's not one of his best, but there's a bit in it where he gets into a forklift truck thing and he just drives through a wall, And nowadays they'd probably think, right, how could we use CGI to make it look like there's a forklift truck driving through a concrete wall? And I honestly think in this film, they just got a concrete wall, got a forklift truck, and just drove the thing through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that the problem with cinema at the moment, not in the future even now, is that they've got so many cost savings with using their computer generated ways of doing things that you just don't get that reality feel from it.
Yeah, it doesn't have that same weight. Like, you can't get more real than using an actual forklift, can you? And more prop making as well. Like, that's why that Star Wars set was so cool, because it was an actual physical thing that was there. But yeah, there is definitely a very heavy reliance on CGI.
It's difficult because when I think back to one of my favourite films, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, I saw a bit of documentary about it and how there was a model set kind of roller coaster ride in the cave, and now I think if I was to rewatch the film, I'd probably think that it's quite dated in its special effects, but at the time it didn't really matter because I was a lot younger and my expectations were a lot lower.
Plus, if the storytelling is good and the acting is solid and everything is just entertaining, I don't think the special effects need to be that great. Like, you can watch an older film where you can tell the special effects aren't as good, but it's still just as impactful because the storytelling is just good. You care about the characters, and you're not even the CGI is more of a secondary thing. So I think that's also important as well. Sometimes it's not the be all and end all. The special effects. If you actually care and are invested in what's going on in the story, then the special effects are more of an add-on.
And I guess in addition to everything you've said, I think when you're not being an extra, a lot of the stuff that you do in your life is real. It's not glued to a TV set. You're going out and you're really being active. So I suppose it's part of your mindset as well. And we could probably, I should have asked you earlier. Can you tell me a bit about your stuntman stuff that you've done?
Yeah. So yeah, I think I wanted to just, as I did more extra work, I wanted to just be a little bit more heavily involved in productions. So I started doing. I tried to get some stunt work. But yeah, I recently did Gangs of London season 3, which was my first proper stunt gig. And yeah, that was really fun. That was where I really got this sense of, like, because when you're me personally as an extra, sometimes I'll see like the actors or the stunts doing their thing, and I'll have this kind of like, oh yeah, I want to be doing that actually. It's like, yeah, when you're a stuntman, there's like a certain level of, there's an expectation of professionalism. So like, just make sure even when you're in the holding area, you still got to be switched on and just ready. Like, okay, Henry, yep, we need Henry, blah, 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 in for the next scene.
You know, your adrenaline's either down or it's high, isn't it?
Yeah, true. But I think when you accept that job, like the stunt job, for example, you kind of go into it knowing that that's going to be the case, and that because you're just an important part of the production, you kind of just have to, okay, if they need me to do the thing, then I've just got to do the thing. Yeah, because I remember I was just absolutely dead. I had a really bad kind of flu, and when they needed me, I kind of had to get ready and just do the thing. And it was pretty easy stuff. All I had to do was just get like shot in the head, and then they'd reuse a lot of us as well, because it was like a great big shootout scene. And then they'd say, okay, you guys can spread out over there, and we were just like pretending to shoot the guns and stuff. It was fun. It was cool.
Yeah, sounds great fun. And like you say, a lot of the time these things, basically they can't be truly dangerous. As a general rule, they can't be truly dangerous, or it just wouldn't work as a career, would it? It just has to all intent to anyone watching it, once it's been edited, it has to look dangerous.
Yeah.
Although I did notice, I watched a documentary recently about the Sylvester Stallone film Cliffhanger, and the guy doing the documentary said that Stallone paid a stuntman about $1 million to do a stunt that was critical to the film looking really good. And what it was, was the bit. Have you seen Cliffhanger?
I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, it involves travelling from one plane to another plane. I won't tell you everything,
Okay.
but I guess I'd always assumed that was just Hollywood special effects, and I heard that no, someone got paid for the money, and he actually did this thing for real.
Well, Jackie Chan is another example. I think. Have you ever seen Police Story?
Yeah,
Apparently, he did. I think he did 3 takes of this certain stunt, and I think with the budget that he had back in the day, he wasn't. There was barely. I don't think there even was any safety. He just did the thing. Got like electrocuted, broke loads of bones, and was like, okay, no, I don't like the way that I landed. Did it again. Just sometimes I think it depends on the stunt, I suppose, how much safety there is. I think there's just always an inherent risk. But with the small thing that I did, I was a little bit like, oh man, it would have been cool to do like a big get shot and like dive off the edge of that thing, but it was pretty easy stuff for that job. But hopefully something comes up in future where there's a little bit more falling and flipping around and stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Because you're an acrobat, aren't you? You can do any kind of flip.
Yeah, I like flipping myself around.
Yeah, we should do a video about all the stuff you do another time. Show people.
Yeah, I'll be up for that, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
excellent.
sweet.
Well, thanks very much, Henry, for your time.
No worries, Mike.
And until the next amazing video.
See you next time.